Rayy J. We just catching up. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't able to pre-promote this one, so we just gonna go on ahead and go. But yeah, nah. But we was just talking about the membership programs and how they're primarily centered around community service and political activism, mainly through like a local government effort. So like now I'm just gonna be getting like a lot idea of people's schedules and stuff like that to see. I'd like next month to start the meetings up and things like that, and see if we can identify where there's good opportunity, maybe to start petitions or support campaigns or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's pretty much what we're gonna do. We got Vincent. Hello, hello, yes. But today we I wanted to talk about, because I think this will actually be a relatively smooth and easy conversation to have, just kind of about Trump's campaign. And despite the fact that he is four-time indicted, got 91 charges overall. Well, I'll get to my overall opinion, but basically I just want to talk about the realities of can he win, and how would that go about happening? How could he really take independence? Because a lot of polls, matter of fact, I'll pull up this Real Clear Politics now, because Trump's up by like 1 point or something like that now.
Yeah.
I believe. But
It's not great.
yeah, it's definitely not. It's certainly not great. And I think, what was it, this last one? Yeah, CBS News, Trump was 50-49. So yeah, now it's Trump 45.2 to Biden 44.8. And a lot of the polls that we've seen too that reflect Democrats, independents wanting another candidate other than Joe Biden. But what those polls, in my opinion, haven't shown is, if we don't get a new candidate than Joe Biden, I will vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So I think that there's just a lot to talk about and a lot to consider, just in terms of the reality that these two guys are tied. And you know what I'm saying?
Unfathomable, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. And then interesting too, like Kamala, you may think like, okay, maybe she could just take up for him. But one, I don't particularly think Biden's gonna step down.
No.
And also, I don't know if she's popular enough to really, galvanize the base in any type of way at this point. But what are kind of just some of your general thoughts on like where the election is now and where the country is now and how things might change or shape up?
Yeah, so it's the fact that it's like, of course, we're really far removed, but we already know who the candidates are, right?
Mhm.
Unless, I made this joke earlier, unless Nikki Haley comes in with a steel chair or some shit, like nothing is changing in the Republican Party, all right?
Yeah.
Like he will be the candidate. Biden,
Isn't
unless
it like 60 percentage points that Trump was at in one of the latest
yeah.
polls? But yeah, something crazy like that. Yeah, it's over. It's over.
Relegated pretty much every other candidate to single digit polling.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the candidate. Unless Joe Biden dies, which he's old and sundowning, but I don't think he's like fighting off death actively like Mitch McConnell is. So unless he
Yeah.
dies, he's gonna be the candidate. Um, and it's crazy to me that it's this close. And it sucks because, I mean, first of all, as you mentioned, fucking four times indicted, 91 charges. People still will vote for him
Yeah.
happily, though. And it's like,
Without a doubt, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, people really vote for him no matter what they see.
so
Yeah.
there's that. And then
Hmm.
Joe Biden, not a super popular candidate, not a super popular president. Also, and I've been saying this, one thing we need to be worried about is having to run a national campaign, because that is not something that Joe Biden had to do in 2020 because of
Yep.
COVID protocols. He didn't have to go hold these rallies all across the country. He can't do that. He's mentally
Point.
not well enough
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
And Trump, for better, for worse, people love him. He can still fucking do that.
And he loves to do it.
But he loves to do it. He loves to do his type 5, get on stage, do his little stand-up shtick, talk about
Mhm.
the toilets. You
Mhm.
know, call his voters fat and ugly, whatever, all those little things. He'll do it, and they'll cheer like the hogs they are, and then they'll all rush to the polls to fucking vote for him.
Mhm.
And so, and we also have, of course, issues of voter suppression that won't be resolved in time for the election. They're getting litigated in the courts. They're not going to be solved in time for voting in 2024. This is all shit we need to be worried about. Joe Biden is not a particularly strong candidate, and the Democratic Party is not willing to do any sort of introspection and consider, even allowing any sort of robust primary or really any primary at all.
Mhm. That's a very good point. Blair, thank you so much. How Blair, thank you for the $5 super chat. Well, I used to be doing. He said this was a joke from the last show. That everybody's doing cocaine. Yeah. Luckily, I no longer do. But thank you again for the $5 super chat, and thank you for being here. But that's a really good point in terms of just how this campaign's cycle has to be different. At least Joe Biden can't do no campaign events. He can't just really sit around
Yeah.
like he did as much in the last race. But it's interesting in my opinion because personally, like I don't think Trump's going to win the general. I personally still don't think that's going to happen, and the reason I don't is I simply don't see how from now, and again, this could change, but I don't see how from now in an entire year, Trump being Trump, I don't see how people will remain in favor of him enough to carry him across the finish line.
Yeah.
Just when you think about like, he potentially may get indicted again. You have the what's it called? The impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden, which, I don't think that'll really do much of anything, but it
Yeah.
certainly won't hurt Joe Biden. That
Right.
it won't do. It won't hurt him. And then just, how much money he owes people. Um, what he doesn't do with the funds that he's raised from his constituents. Things like that for another year. I just personally don't think that, right now it's 45-44, but I could be wrong, but I don't see why people would be like, "Oh, let's do Trump again." But I think that for that to be for that to turn out, like the Democrats have to do more. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't just kick their feet up. And one of my biggest criticism, I want to know what you think about this. One of my biggest criticisms of the Democratic Party, sure, they can always do more. They're corrupt and what have you, but they have this reputation that they just don't do anything. And that's really not true,
Yeah.
especially when you compare the Republicans to the Democrats. Joe Biden, and again, perhaps they'll kick it up. It's because there's still a year left, but he calls himself the most pro-union president since FDR. What he just did with the National Labor Union Board kind of gives some credence to that in terms of him being like, look, this is what I just gave workers the right to unionize, period.
Hmm.
The end. That's a pretty big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like that, in fact, is a pretty big deal. And it doesn't take away from any of the other criticism that you could lobby at him. But just to say, like, from a comparison standpoint, it's like, look, both of us are old motherfuckers. And, after 2024, whether it's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or really just that whole age bracket, their time's up.
Right.
But I think that the Democrats have to really do a better job at highlighting the things that they've done, or Biden has increased factory jobs here. The things that he did in terms of when he first came in, the checks and stuff, that's over and done with.
Yeah.
That's done. And
I'm still, feeling pretty high about my one-time $1,200
yeah,
check. I'm
right.
still using that to buy my groceries.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I was just doing $1 a day. You know what I mean? $1 a day. We almost out of it. But yeah. And what didn't he did he deschedule or marijuana, or did he or take it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Federally, it's
Well,
not listed in the same way it was. The impact of it, not massive.
yeah, not really. Yeah, definitely not a very large impact. But I think that at the end of the day, unfortunately, this is a very close race. But
Yeah.
I don't think when I really think about it, I think it's going to remain close. But where I think there's more opportunity is these House seats and just more local election and focus more on local elections because whether it's Mitch McConnell, Dianne Feinstein. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's running for reelection. She may win it, but I think she's 83.
Yeah.
So again, regardless, like she may win one more term, and that's
Mhm.
probably it. So um, I think that we're actually in a pretty good position to get a lot of good candidates in office, in my
Absolutely, especially just we're in the last days of an old guard, right? Because by the time, post 2024, by the time the midterms come, they're either going to be stepping down or they're going to be dead. All right. A
opinion.
lot of these, a
Yeah, for
lot of,
real.
a lot of these politicians are, you know, I mean, look at Mitch McConnell. That guy is staring down the Grim Reaper every few minutes. Like he's locking eyes with him as he tries to carry him
You
away
think he
to
gonna
hell.
make it to 2026?
That was such an
Right, right. It's
awesome
like,
question of them to
boom.
ask him. Was like, you might
Right.
want,
How ironic that that's when his freeze up happens. He was like,
right?
oh, right. And he
You
just,
might as well just ask, do you think you'll be alive in
right.
2026?
Like, golly, man, this shit crazy. And I don't really, I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, like, so
No.
what? They're public officials. Like, that's really out of the question. Like, so what? You feel me? Like, your personal life in that regard really doesn't matter. I've
Yeah.
got this thing pulled up right here. I'm gonna show it. Of the 20 oldest members in Congress, and here we go. This is from the New York Times. Let me bring this up real quick. All right, so we got here are the 20 oldest members of Congress. This they just put this out, I think, last week. So we got Dianne Feinstein, number one,
90.
90. That's old. And again, like that's great if you get to live that long, but like, God. And also another interesting point too, term limits, but without some type of a stake in corporate dollars in the process, what's that really gonna do?
Right.
I mean, because it's just too easy to work around it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? God, our system is so corrupt. It's crazy.
And it sucks because I am of the opinion that term limits are undemocratic because you got someone like Bernie Sanders. I don't want him not in Congress. I want him in the Senate. Like, and an age limit or whatever. I don't want him aged out. He's still doing good. I need him in there. So
Hmm.
it's like it's a tough line. First of all, we'll never get it right because we'd have to pass an amendment to the Constitution. It's never gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
especially not with the big moneyed interests in it. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't even necessarily solve any of the issues of like corporate money and politics because then they'll just be giving them their corporate dollars for a shorter amount of time and then they're out and then they're going to foist in whoever's next like
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean
Exactly.
it's a tough issue, but when I see fucking Chuck Grassley 89 with no indication that he might be retiring soon, like he just
Hmm.
celebrated his birthday. I think he's 90 now.
Yeah.
So it's like
And to a good point that you made is like, a lot of these people have different, noticeable levels and just their cognizant abilities
yeah.
at this point in time in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like Chuck Grassley, for all I know, he's pretty sharp. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? For all I
Unfortunately sharp.
right, 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 exactly. For all I know, from what I've seen of him, he's pretty sharp. And my grandfather lived one of them lived to be 96, and all the way through that, he was, like sharp and up and walking around, but you don't know.
Yeah.
So again, I think that that's another good point as well. Is it's like, term limits seem like maybe a good fix, but there's actually a lot to be debated and a lot to be talked about, in that regard. I don't need, okay, Napolitano, is that the woman with, no, that's not, I'm thinking the one with like the purple hair and stuff, but I think she's in Minnesota. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that she's, I know who this is. Bill Parcell, he's up here. However you say that shit. Pascal, 86. So yeah, look at, they're all pretty much close. 90, 89, 86, 86, 85, 85, 84. Nancy Pelosi, she's about to run for re-election. She'll probably win. James Clyburn, 83. I don't know who Danny Davis is. Bernie, 82. But yeah, see, there we go. So again, just the overall general point of talking about this is whether anybody likes it or not, it's a new generation. It's time to shine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think one of the most important things, honestly, that everybody can do, like I'm to a point now where I'm like, I don't really want to point the fingers and blame these old motherfuckers that much. Just get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like just get them out of office. Just, let's just do what we need to do. But what do you think in your view, in your eyes, is kind of the best strategy forward that the Democratic Party needs to take just dealing with Donald Trump? What do you think is the best path forward in that regard?
What I want to see is, I want to see a lot of October surprises and a lot of stuff leading up to that, right? Like I want anything that Biden can do unilaterally, he needs to be doing if he wants to, and of course, I understand the concept of the October surprise, right? You want to wait till right before the election so that you're still getting the benefit and the credit for doing that when voters go to the polls, but you have to be laying the groundwork to be doing that stuff ahead of time. Like any student loan forgiveness he can do, which is all of it, do it.
Yeah.
Do it right before the election. Do it right before the elections where, before any sort of court has had the ability to step in, before any lawsuits have been filed, anything he can do unilaterally do and run on that, because of course he's got his hands tied a little bit because we don't have the House. But there's plenty of things he can do alone. Like stop tweeting that no person should go into debt because they went to college. Do something about
right,
it,
right, exactly.
You're the president.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I think I definitely think that there's a lot of opportunity for him to just do more executive actions with hold on, I'm just looking at these little videos to pull up. I think there's definitely a whole lot more that he can do with executive actions in terms of student loan forgiveness. One of my biggest disappointments Kamala Harris, man. But like it more so like what I wish I could see from her, that's not who she is. Like if she was somebody who had like, kind of more of a charismatic presence, you know what I'm saying? Just maybe a little more funny, a little more smooth. Like she isn't horrible, but that, like her record isn't all that great. So
yeah.
I'm on Joe Biden's campaign website. Let's see what his video is. Let's see what his campaign video is like. And it's still early too, because you one of the things you said, I expect us to see a lot of things later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's really not much, realistically, there's really not that much reason for the Biden campaign to pull out all their big guns now. There's just not. Let Trump do. I mean, they should do more, definitely. But in terms of campaigning, they're gonna do, unfortunately, as little as possible.
Right.
But they're not gonna not do anything. But let's see what this video is all about. I'm winning. I'm running for re-election. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
No, but
Okay,
I'm
cool.
not surprised that it starts with January
6th. Exactly. All right, let's see how this pans out. Starts off, Donald Trump's bad.
Freedom. Personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
That was like, he took 5 takes to say that.
Right.
Like, God damn it.
Nothing more important, nothing more sacred. That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy. This shouldn't be a red or blue issue. To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it. But around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions women can make, banning books and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
Them walking, because we always got to have the shot of them walking.
Yep, got to. They done came a long way. They've been working so hard. We was talking about the Senate earlier because some dress code suggestion
Yeah.
changed where they can like be more chill, and it was just so funny because like we have to everyone has to stay formal, which most people still will. If I was in Congress, I'd fucking wear a suit and tie too most of the time.
Yeah.
But just for people who don't, we can't because we work so hard. Well, they are every time you see them, they're on a recess for a month plus.
Right.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America. I know we're good and decent people. I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor. We believe that everyone is equal, that everyone should be given a fair shot to succeed in this country.
Thank you for choosing us.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights. And this is our moment.
This is pretty generic to me so far.
Yeah.
I mean, this just seems like a general, hey, I'm Joe Biden commercial.
Joe
What's that?
Biden is more willing, I think, than a lot of other sort of establishment Democrats to criticize by name Republicans, right? He'll call Marjorie Taylor Greene out by her name. He's not
Yeah.
afraid to do that, which I like. I think that's more effective, a more effective way of campaigning. And like, at the end of the day, this election is the Democrats to lose because we already know what the Republicans are going to run on. The same failed things they ran on in 2020, the same failed things they ran on in the midterms. They're not switching up the playbook. Trump isn't going to run on giving anything to anybody. He's going to run on the election was stolen from me, and that's not as an effective message. So, it's up to them. This is their election to lose. Don't fuck it up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think and too, like when you really look at it, Biden has some things that he can put out in front to run on again to just make him look just generally better than Donald Trump, despite all the chaos that Trump's in. The Afghanistan withdrawal, Republicans make a lot of noise about that, but
it was so long ago. People don't care anymore. People just don't care anymore.
Yeah. And I think though too, like if he brings that up, I think that'll look pretty decent for people who aren't like rabid Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Because we were there for like 20 years, something like that. And then whatever. Yeah, he did. I'm looking at this this little website with some of his it's old, but some of his accomplishments and some of them, like you can judge it for yourself in terms of what you think. But again, the most consequential federal gun safety bill, I don't know. Like this to me would be something weak to put on the forefront.
Yeah.
Like that's not really gonna do it. The largest ever national investment in mental health. This is from January too. So okay, roughly $10 billion in funding for mental health care. Again, that's decent, but I don't know. This didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, this didn't happen. If it did happen, that would have been all that they would have talked about.
Yeah.
And it would have worked too. But there are a decent amount of people who have gotten their student loan debts forgiven. General investment in American industry and manufacturing. $39 billion in incentives from companies to construct and expand manufacturing for facilities in the U.S. and $13.2 billion for workforce development programs and research and development efforts, which is a stark contrast. And this is in the CHIPS Act.
Courting the votes of gamers by trying to manufacture the fucking, what are they called?
The microchips.
Not, it's called something, but yeah, the shit, I had it for a second, I lost it. I can see what it looks like inside my computer right now, but like it was a huge issue. People weren't able to get them, and like you need them if you're like if you play video games on your PC. It was like a huge fucking issue.
Yeah,
Actually helped.
all I'm thinking of is some with the microchips. That's all that's coming to my mind. But again, the CHIPS Act, like that is a need. What the Biden administration hasn't done, and I mean, you can't really blame him because he said he wouldn't do it. There hasn't been any real fundamental change. But I think that if he, like you said, I think what's really important. Oh, this is old. Yeah, this is from Jay. That's why I said we was looking at that thing for Jay.
Graphics card. Somebody said it in the chat.
Graphic card.
Graphics card.
Yeah. Well. Oh yeah. Oh, you remember this because what's the name? What's the comedian's name who was going? Who's always on the front lines for this? Jon Stewart? No, not. Yeah, Jon Stewart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For the veterans in the burn pits. But I think what was I saying? Oh yeah. If Biden can do, he doesn't even have to do a ton of campaign events, but if he can do some of them more, maybe get him some Adderall or something. I don't know. Just there's plenty of stuff that they can use.
Inject him with the adrenochrome. Give him the
right,
good
exactly,
stuff.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? You do that. I think that I think that will go a long enough way. And then again, man, talk about the union stuff. Because what he did with the National Labor Board, that can overshadow him falling short for the railway workers. You know what I'm saying? It could be like, yeah, maybe I could have done a little bit more, but motherfuckers can unionize. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a pretty big deal. But is AOC up for re-election?
Yeah, everyone in the House is always up for re-election.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't overlap. Only the Senate overlaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think overall, again, I thought that because I think we pretty much wrap it up. I know we both been busy today, and I wanted us to be able to get on and at least just kind of have a general conversation about this. Yeah, I personally think, yes, Hal Blair, yes, now we can join. We got the membership programs up and going. The membership programs are primarily centered around community service. So, indeed, I appreciate all of y'all. But I think that I think Biden's going to win re-election. One, most importantly, because Donald Trump is such a dumpster fire of a disaster who can't help himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to stop screwing himself. That won't happen. And I think that when the Democratic Party wants to, they can make magic happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they really want to, they can. So for me, I think it's more important for us to show up to the polls, vote in the general election, do what you need to do. But other than that, let's put more of our emotional energy and attention into these congressional races, because I think that that's where Democrats really have an opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is Donald Trump, but in the House, I mean, look, the Republicans to reverse Roe v. Wade, and state after state's like, no, we have to do these 6-week bans. We must. I think that the Democrats can do really well, much better in congressional races than they'll end up doing with Donald Trump. And then finally, let's focus on our backyards and keep your eyes to 2028. And so
I'll just add, like, about Congress. I mean, again, it's the Democrats' election to lose. We already know what the Republicans are going to be running on. Impeaching Joe Biden is not helping any of these moderate Republicans who have to face actual significant challenges in purple districts from Democrats. Their voters don't want that. Their voters want them to pass a budget. They're not doing that. Democrats have brought 17 potential resolutions to the table. Republicans refuse to put a single one of them to a vote. These are the times where we can actually make a difference. If we can go into this election and take back the majority in the House, maintain and expand a majority in the Senate. Although it's a, this is a last election cycle was Senate focused. This one we need to be talking about the House because it's a very real possibility. And then if we can go into the upcoming years with a mandate, right? Then we can actually maybe fucking accomplish something for once.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And again, at the end of the day, it's our generation's turn. How Blair you? Thank you so much for becoming a member. It looks like he's a superhero. You know what I'm saying? The superheroes and the super duper heroes, we all about community service. Over the next several weeks, I'm going to be communicating with the members just to get a general idea of everybody's schedule so that we can see when the best time to come together for these meetings is. But yes, thank you, Ray, so much for joining me today. we both busy. We both have had long days. I have more work to do. About to clean up a little bit and eat and take me some of these so I can keep it going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to keeping things going. And yeah, shit, man. Thank you all of y'all for joining us. And me and Ray will see y'all next week.